Take me to your heart. I belong to you. Take me to your soul. No one else will let you down.
Yo!
Yo!
What's up, everyone? Welcome to Saturday. We are your hosts. I'm Adam.
I'm Patrick.
My button worked today. I'm happy about that. It didn't work on that one.
It's
Every
all
time
right.
I think I got a
It's all right.
fix, this doesn't work. So,
Yep.
all right. How are you, Patrick?
It's good, man.
Yeah?
Good. I've been up way too long this morning, but
Yeah.
it's good. Yeah.
Welcome to my world. Welcome to my world. All right, everyone. So today is going to be a little chaotic. I put in the chat that my wife, Chatmaster C, is not with us today. She is watching, but told me she can't even chat in the thing. I don't know why. So she said to say hi to everyone. So hello from her. First up, let me put a big shout out to our members. Thank you so much. If you are a member of Guy in a Cube, it is very much appreciated. It helps us do what we do and to continue to give you awesome content and everything. So thank you so much for that. And just real quick, everyone always asks, what's our setup like? So for my setup, this is the gear I'm using on my end. It's a little bananas. Brent Ozar refers to it as the bananas setup. And then Patrick's setup is not as complicated, but still awesome nonetheless. And so that is what we are doing on our end. So excellent, excellent. All right. So I am queuing things up here, and I'm going to be trying to keep up. Patrick may be doing more answering than I am. Please do not spam the chat. We will, if we catch it, Patrick, let me know, or if the mods are there, give me a shout out. I know Chris is there. I don't know what other mods we have in the chat, but if we see someone spamming, feel free. You have the ability to put someone in a timeout. I do a 3 strikes rule, so after the 3rd strike, timeout is permitted. So prefix your questions with Q:. We will get to as many as we can. The first 30 minutes, we're doing something a little different this week. The first 30 minutes is going to be, I'm just going to go through the chat in order of the questions asked. We'll try and, if there is something that's interesting, we will go with that. At the top of the hour, I'm going to cut it over to member only chat. So everyone can still watch, but only members can actually chat in the chat. And then super chats will also come through, and super chats will get priority. So that is how we are going to roll today. We'll see how it goes. Trying this for the first time. So with that, Patrick, I really wish you could do this. All right. Oh, it's so nice when my wife's here. All right, let's go through. And first question. All right, my end user wanted 4 quadrants and scatter plot. Those 4 quadrants can be adjusted by the end user. They can input the values. Is that possible? I want to say no on that. So, no. So, I mean, from user... Go ahead.
No, you go.
I was just going to say, from a user input perspective, there's no real way for them to input on that. And then from a 4 quadrants of a scatter plot, to actually get that, you'd have to, unless you're thinking about small multiples, which doesn't exist today. Yeah. You'd have to do some crazy DAX to get that. So I don't know. I was about to say. Yeah, I don't know how you would.
Crazy DAX.
Crazy DAX.
Some crazy DAX.
Not saying it's impossible for at least getting the 4 quadrants, but yeah, I don't know that.
Because if you did the crazy DAX, you could possibly do some type of what if, and have a slicer that you could go back and forth. To adjust the ranges or the axis and things. Phil Seamark and I actually talked about this. And so it could be done, but it would be some crazy DAX. And I think somebody even pointed it out in the chat. You have to be worried about performance at that point, because now we're introducing a lot of unknowns into the model. So you have to be really careful.
Yeah. Yep. So, Bradford.
Fun DAX, though.
Just draw some lines.
Just draw some lines.
Right. Yeah. People are feisty today. That's good. All right. So let's go to the next one. Trying to keep this straight.
It's funny. It's funny.
Chat
It's
is
funny.
bananas as always. So, all right, let's
It
go.
is.
I have a report that looks at orders/day. When I run the report in desktop, it works fine. When I publish to the report, there are 4-hour time differences due to UTC time zone. Is there a fix for this? So, yes. So if you are using like a now type function, it's going to grab it from a UTC perspective, from the service perspective. So you'd have to adjust for that. Have some sort of offset that accounts for it. That's a challenging thing to do from the service perspective. So
It is a challenging thing to do.
yes. So yeah, that's about the best I can say on that. You've got to manually account for that. So all right. Is there a way to set date picker with before option and show the latest month end date dynamically, which available for a specific selected customer user?
The customer user is going to be the challenge, right? And so against some DAX though,
Yep.
because if it's outside of the element, that's going to present the challenge because I don't know who that selected customer is. During the day part is easy. We did some videos on that already. But whatever slicer you're trying to do, if it's outside the element of that measure, then you'll have to accommodate that inside the measure. And so you create a base measure, and then you can reuse that base measure, whenever you start building the other measures, and just put that in the logic of the DAX. But man, again, be careful, right? Performance and then manageability.
Yep. Cool.
All my reading of DAX definitive guide is playing off here, Adam. My
I don't know what happened to my. What's up with that? The blue bar, the event thing. All right.
I don't know.
All right.
Somebody just became a member.
Yeah, Michael, thank you so much for becoming a member. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
All right. Let's do. Where is it? All right. So, Passion's got a question. Is it possible for stacked bar chart proportions to be parameterized based on slicer input change? You have a thought on that, Patrick?
I do. Back to the what if. It's back to the what if, but you have to build it. Everything, at least the first few questions, and I need to make a note of this. Everything you guys want to do, at least from the first few questions that we've done, you have to do some DAX. You're gonna have to write it in some DAX, and then you can use like a slider or something in that slicer to control it. But you're driving a lot of dynamics back to the model, which could negatively affect performance. But all these things can be done. It can absolutely be done. You just have to write some DAX.
I agree. DAX is the magical sauce that makes things happen.
It is. See, and then Jared just put switch true. Switch with true. You could do it, man. You could do it. Just Bradford. I'm sorry, Bradford said that.
Bradford.
No,
Yeah.
That's his. Yeah.
Okay.
Bradford.
All right. Moving the train along. All right. We got Martin from the Netherlands. Hello, guys from the Netherlands. Love the Netherlands. How can I add dynamic column names to my matrix? Currently, I use button and DAX measures as text as overlays. Yeah.
That's great. That's an awesome solution.
Yeah. Yeah. Someone else. So someone had a question before about how do I sort the columns? And there is a way to accomplish that, but in order to dynamically, the actual column names, that's...
You know what? 2 streams ago. No. I'm sorry. We were in a meeting internally, and someone internally gave me a PDF file. I have it in my email, and they said we could share it externally. I need to dig it up because they were doing some dynamic stuff with columns and matrices. But they were materializing tables in DAX. So, those columns and everything, it was a lot of materialization going, which she even said kind of bloated the
Yeah.
model. It
Yeah.
increased the size of the model, not on this, but obviously when
Right.
people
Right.
were querying the model. So I'll have to find that and see what they're saying. Yeah.
All right. Cool. Let's see here. Let's do. All right. How can I use the date range in a date slicer, either as a
You
variable
already
or
did
in
this.
another way? Oh, I didn't do that one.
Oh, I thought you did this
Oh,
one.
I've been
How can you
removing them
use
as
the
I
date
do them.
range?
Yeah. And calculating another
Use the
measure.
date range.
So this depends on where you get the date range. So like you could use relative date time slicer. You could use, yeah. And so the question would be, where do you get the date range from? And then just accommodate for that from a DAX perspective. So if you're having this from a relative date slicer, and Patrick's done this in some of his videos, is you can go and get like the max or the min, depending on what you're doing there, and use those as variables, and then use that with inside of your whatever calculation you're doing. Right?
Yeah. I don't understand what he means.
He
Either
wants to
as
get
a
the date
variable.
range
Well, I mean,
in a
you
date
gotta-
slicer. So I
the
mean,
da-
that's the relative date slicer.
Yeah, and then it depends, right? If I use a relative date, you got to be careful what you select in that drop down. That's going to determine if you get the min, the max, or you can use between, if it's going to give you, because that relative date is going to give you not a single date, unless you say, give me yesterday, right? It's going to give you a range of dates, and then you need to select the minimum or the maximum one, and then you would need to use that in your DAX.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Chris, I see your question in there. We'll come back to that on the bottom or the top of the hour. All right, Amit, what should I learn which will go along with Power BI in order to grow in the field of data analytics from career point of view? Learn DAX.
And data modeling.
Yeah, data modeling and
And data
DAX.
modeling, right?
Yeah. Yep. I would definitely go with that route. I'll throw that out to chat. I mean, what Chris Wagner, learn M. Nice.
Yeah.
Yep. DAX, data modeling. Those are the key areas. Like if you understand the data modeling and DAX piece of this and understand how M and Power Query kind of fit in with that, you're in a good spot. So yeah. That's what I would say. All right. Patrick, my lightsaber died, by the way. I knew that wouldn't last long. Chris said our lag is very low, or insanely low. Yes, that's because I'm using the ultra low latency setting. So, all right, let's go with this one. How to export data to TXT file from Power BI. Well, so I mean, you can export it to CSV.
Yeah,
What?
CSV.
I would
That's it.
want to understand what's the scenario where you want it as a TXT, and then what would you want in the TXT that CSV doesn't give you? Yeah. So I mean,
That's a bigger
CSV.
question.
CSV effectively is a text file, right? It's just
Yeah.
comma separated or whatever, what have you. So, all right, cool.
I like that answer, Adam. That was a good answer.
What?
It was so straightforward. That was good.
It is. I mean,
Go ahead.
CSV is text.
Yeah.
See, I mean,
Great
I'd
answer.
want to understand what the scenario is around. Like, why do you want that?
Great,
So,
great answer. I
All
like
right.
it.
all right, Thomas, I'm gonna hold yours for the bottom of the hour or top of the hour.
So he said CSV is fine. Can you tell how to extract the CSV? Yep. Just click on the
You want to show it on
element
yours?
that you. Sure.
You have it on yours?
Sure,
All right.
sure.
Let's go.
I do. I have
Patrick's
something.
machine.
It's really basic. It's
Make sure
a
you
really
zoom
basic
in.
table.
Make sure you zoom.
Yep. It's a really basic table that I have right here. If you click the ellipsis, then you can say export data, and then you'll be able to choose. Of course, it's going to do some craziness whenever I try to do this. And so you can see right there, it's all just exporting the CSV.
So that's
right
from
there.
Power BI Desktop. If you do it in the service, you'll get a different dialogue. So
Yeah,
here,
you
let
get a
me-
choice. depending on the settings, right?
Yeah, hang on, let me go over to mine. I'll show the service. All right, let's cut over to mine. Let's go here, we'll go here. Come on. All right, so yeah, in there you'll go to export data, and then you'll get an option for file format. And then you can choose CSV or you can choose Excel. Just be aware of the limitation of the number of rows, because that's a real thing. And if you want something more than that, then you're gonna have to look at something like paginated reports or something from that nature where you can do that. All right. Let's go to. Sorry, I'm gonna queue up a couple more. Trying to keep ahead of the train here.
I'm sorry, you're no Crystal, man.
I'm not Crystal. No, I'm not.
I'm just saying.
I don't know if I missed any here. I probably missed a couple. It's okay.
I just missed it.
Not gonna get through all of these for sure.
Oh, we missed Crystal.
Hey man, be nice. Be nice.
Look, even Wyatt McNabb is saying no, he is not. No, he is not.
I don't even see Wyatt's comment. It's lost in my. It's lost in my. I'm sorry. Yes. Hello, Wyatt. Thank you.
He said, "Crystal, come home. Crystal,
come
home."
She is. Don't bother.
Please come
Don't bother.
home.
You guys. All right, Adrian. Referring to the latest Guy in a Cube video, I don't quite get why the model size didn't reduce after the split is performed on the date-time column. However, transforming them to integer does. Go for it.
It's hilarious. This is hilarious. This is bananas, right? Because I called Adam. I was like, "Hey, I saw a comment. Somebody was like, why didn't the cardinality go so it didn't change that much between those two when I split it out?" And I was like, I don't know. And then I ran a query, and then I looked at the distribution and profile, and then I copied one value. I went into the model, I copied the value, the time, and then I pasted it in a text file or DAX Studio or Management Studio, and it brought the time over also, which was crazy. And Adam was like, "Yeah, I think they even with the time, even if you just make it just the time, and Power BI also stores a date." And so there's some stuff going on behind the scenes with the time, where it automatically stores the date. And I had lots. I think I had 2 million rows in that video, and so that's why the cardinality didn't go down. Try it yourself and take a look. But then once you convert it to an integer, the integer doesn't bring that overhead because it's just an integer, and that's why you saw the cardinality go all the way down. Great question. Great question. Somebody said, "Let's head over to Patrick's laptop." Somebody said, "Let's head over."
Maybe he's gonna have a follow-up video.
Maybe there's a follow-up video. Maybe there's a follow-up video. I just need to verify a few things before I do a follow-up video on this. I need to verify a few things.
All right, I did see. So Bradford did have a question. I do want. It's a great question, and now I've lost it. I've lost it. I know Alex did throw the link out there for it, but this is really important, especially if you're doing presentations. What program did we use to zoom in and draw boxes and highlights? And so, just real quick, I'm sorry. This is very important. If you're doing presentations or whatever, you should get a tool like this. So zoom it. I can do, Control 1, zoom in, and then I can hold the control box. I can do all sorts of crazy things. And hit E. I can do that. I can do a live zoom in as well. So those are all, except that screws up Patrick. So just be aware of that. Alex put the link in the chat.
Yeah.
Live zoom does not agree with Patrick.
I just want to say something. Chris Wagner, you are welcome, my friend. Chris says, "Thanks for using a template for your report." Sorry, I don't have the template up in the one I just showed, Chris. I'm going to get it before I publish the video for this one. But yes,
thank you, Chris.
Chris came up to me a couple of years ago. The first time I met him in person, he was like,
customer
"You guys need
advisory
to do
board
something about this."
Yeah.
So thank you, Chris. Yes.
Yes. All right. Yeah. All right. I've got Crystal's hat on right now, just queuing up, and now we will go back to Adam's hat and continue on with the train. All right.
Choo-choo.
Martin, thank you for the super chat. Says we are doing a great job. Much appreciated. Thank you. Thank you.
And
Thank you.
Brian Martin became a Cube supporter.
Brian Martin, thank you for
see
becoming
that?
a member. I did see that. Thank you. My alerts
And
are off right now because somehow they broke.
okay,
I don't know
okay,
why they broke.
okay, okay.
I
But you
blame
got it. I
Patrick.
don't need to tell you.
No,
You
it's
got it. Okay.
fine. I got it. Got it.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. And Chris, thank you for the super chat.
Yeah, we
And
already
Chris
said that.
Did a super chat.
Yeah, that was
we
where
already
he thanked
said
us for the templates.
Oh,
All right.
yes. Okay.
Is it possible to have time in Slicer with between options? I need to filter from check-in and check-out date using Slicer with between. So the function that's out there from a DAX perspective is dates between. So that's not necessarily, if you just have time on its own, it's not going to work with that. And so you would have to.
But there's a relative time slicer though.
There's a relative time slicer, yes. So you could use that.
Yes.
From a DAX perspective, you would have to write some custom DAX to do that.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Gotcha.
Right. Yeah, that's right. But there is a relative time slicer, so you could try using that as well. So hopefully that helps.
Oh, look, Michael Mays.
Yeah,
There you
Michael.
go, Michael.
Michael.
You're right. Relative time slicer. Yep.
See, Michael and Patrick are like, they're in sync right now. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Is that GA? I do not know, Michael.
It's.
I don't know.
I want to say not yet.
Okay.
I want to say not yet. Not gonna say anything more on that. All right. I'm not gonna be able to pronounce your name. I'm sorry. I think it's Yao, maybe. Quick explain about a gateway to a non-dev person. So what is a gateway to someone that doesn't understand this stuff? So a gateway's, think of it like a proxy, right? So it's like your sidekick that's sitting on premises or in a network that Power BI just can't reach to, and it's going to hand things off to it, right? So it's just that go-between between your data source and Power BI when Power BI can't connect directly. So if it's on premises, if it's in like a VNet in some cloud service like Azure, that's where you're going to need a gateway so that Power BI can use that to get data back and forth. How was that?
That's good. That's good,
Like that?
man. I like it.
Good? Gatekeeper.
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
There is no gatekeeper, only Zool. Sorry, I meant I had to say that. All right. Hopefully that helps you understand that one. All right. All right. Watching the clock here. All right. Kendall. I have a dashboard in Power BI Desktop. It's a report, not a dashboard. And my coworker has one too. What is the best way to merge these two into one report? We are both using two different data sets. Ooh. How would you... There's no merge, so I'll just say that right now. You can copy visuals from one Power BI Desktop file to another. But if the data sets are different, I don't know how that would... Go ahead,
I'm raising my hand.
Go ahead.
I'm raising my hand.
We need a raise
So I
hand
say
function like in Teams.
Yeah. So everybody's posting in the chat. I say take a step back. And if this is a necessary requirement of your reporting to build a single data set based on both of those data models, publish that data set to the service, and both you guys connect to that data set and do your reporting from a single data set.
Yes.
If the data sets aren't too large, I can't imagine, it doesn't seem, I don't know, right? I'm making an assumption. I would combine them into a single data set, publish them, and then you guys report from a single data set. That's your solution. Not trying to combine them, not trying to do some kind of kludgy DAX or wait for the composite model features to come out.
It's a technical term.
Don't do any squishy stuff. That's Adam's
Squishy.
technical term. I love
Query
it too.
squishing.
Squishy.
Query squishing.
Query squishing. Take a step back. Talk to the other person that's building reports, and you guys combine this into a single data model. Publish it, share it, use it for your reporting. That's the approach you should
agree
take.
with Thomas.
Yep.
Agree with Thomas.
Yeah. One version of the truth.
There you go. There you go.
Yep.
And then
one
then
data set to rule them all.
Yes. And then from a so Kendall says we only have Power BI desktop, I'm assuming. We don't have the service. So you're only using the desktop.
It's still possible.
Well, I mean, you're not going to have a shared data set though in that case. So you can't connect to a single
that's
data
okay,
set.
right? You use the data, you develop one single data model. So like, let's say Adam and I are a guy in a cube, right? And so we decide we're not going to use Power BI service, but we need to develop some reports that correlate between two data set. Obviously, there's a way to establish a relationship because we're doing some type of correlation or something that we're trying to put on the same dashboard. We develop a PBIX file that contains that data model, and it's going to become a little bit of management and maintainability at that point. But now we have this one PBIX file that we use as the foundation for all of our reports, and we just need to know that when we make changes, logic changes, import new data, we have to do that to all subsequent files that are based on this new PBIX file.
Yeah, it's
That's
a mess.
what you guys are going to have to do if you're not using it.
I would honestly
It's a mess,
say, I would actually say having that central PBIX, the starting point, I would save that as a Power BI template file. And then,
absolutely.
Yeah, and then go from there. But again, if you make a change in one, you got to carry that across all of them, and that becomes a management nightmare.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Data modeling and data. Everybody knows. Everybody that's been joining. That's my thing. And anyway, as we move on, Adam, we move on.
Yeah. Or if you want to stand up like analysis services, Alex kind of pointed to that, but not. It's not exactly. But you could have analysis services as your central data model, and then just have Power BI point to that, right? Yeah. But again, I mean that there's cost involved with that, and it sounds like you're trying to avoid that. So, So, okay, all right. Let's do. Wow, so many questions.
It is. I love it.
So many questions. So many questions. All right. So Maya, any tips on maintaining a premium capacity CPU spikes, I'm assuming you mean. Total reports approximately 3,000. Wow. So if you're seeing that Power BI Premium is spiking on CPU, then it's a potential signal that you might be overloaded. And I say potential and might because I don't know. This is where I would start looking at optimizing and look for other signals that you're overloaded as well. You may need to offload to another capacity. You may need to scale up. 3,000 reports is a lot. How many data sets? What are the size of the data sets? Are you doing direct query? How many concurrent users do you have? So those, if you're hitting that, it's starting to give you signals that you may be overloaded.
But if it's just a spike, right?
That's the thing.
So
how long is the spike for?
Yeah, exactly. So I go back to old school and I'm dating myself, but I used to manage physical hardware. And one of the decisions we had to make was, hey, we're going to purchase some hardware and we're going to have this amount of resources on it. And my DBAs, I managed a group of DBAs, and they would get excited or nervous when the CPU spiked. But I'm like, that's why we bought that level of hardware, because if I buy a piece of hardware and it's only running at about 30%, I've wasted my money because I really didn't need that amount of hardware. I need to be running at about 80%. And if it's just a spike, who cares if it's just a spike? Maybe there's a heavy query running on direct query, or you're doing a live connect to analysis services, or you got a bunch of refreshes running. A spike, I don't worry about spikes. But if it's a long duration of that spike, right? If it's at 100% for a very long time, now we got concern. So
my other thing on that too is if all you're doing is if you're looking at the Premium Capacity Metrics app and you see a spike every once in a while, are your users reporting a problem? Because if they're not, then who cares, right? Like if they're telling you like, hey, this stuff is slow, like intermittently, then okay, maybe you've got a problem there. But if all you're doing is, hey, I noticed the spike, okay, there was a lot of stuff that happened at once, but it handled it, right?
Yeah.
So it may not be a problem. So, all right, cool. So Michael, what is the DAX function you're most missing?
I'm guessing one that we would love to see in Power BI.
I have my answer to this. What's your answer, Patrick?
Go. Well,
no, I gotta pull it
up. So there was an April Fool's joke that somebody did about I forget what they named the function.
Oh, I remember
but it just
this.
Automatically optimize your DAX.
Yes.
And so that's the one I would love to.
Oh, that was from Power Pivot Pro. That was Power Pivot Pro did that. All right, so I'm gonna let me cut over to my machine. I will answer this question. Let me get rid of this. So my answer here is this item on ideas. PowerBI.com that Marco threw out there about visual DAX calculations at the visual level. I would love that. If you haven't voted for this item, go vote it up. This would be very awesome. And read his article on how this would work and what his thoughts are on this. That would be incredibly powerful. So that's my answer. All right. All right. One more. I'm going to grab one more and then we're going to cut over to member only. Are we ready? Let's go to, where'd my thing go? All right. Sergey.
I love your shirt, by the way.
My shirt? Baby Yoda?
Yeah.
Right.
Baby Yoda.
So new metadata format is in preview now. What will happen when it goes GA? Will we have two metadata formats? If it goes GA, then that's the metadata format.
That's it.
So yeah, it's not going to be a preview feature anymore. That we're going to move over to that metadata. Power BI team's going to move over to that. So that's the long term. So
done.
Yep. Yeah. Good question. All right. Cutting over.
That's a good question.
Cutting over. So thank you everyone for your questions. We are going to cut over to member only chat. You can still watch. Anthony, thank you for becoming a member. You'll still be able to watch the live stream and you can still do a super chat if you really want to get your question in there. So here we go. Bam. Members only mode is on.
Ones.
I know.
There's going to be some tough questions.
I know.
Oh, boy.
All right. Here we go. So there's a couple that I spotted members in the chat, so I was holding these. So Chris is the first one. I was tasked with putting together an RLS training at work. I want to point people to yours instead. How's the RLS training going? It is going. Our goal, and if Crystal's still watching, I'm watching her like maybe yell at the computer right now. The goal is to launch it this Wednesday. So yes, it's recorded. We had to record it twice because I screwed up the first time. Audio,
but it was
the
a
audio
blessing,
had issues.
Chris.
It was a blessing.
Chris, it was a blessing because if you go through the content the first time, you would have hated Patrick so much. So
yes.
It was a blessing. It was a blessing.
And so if you want, you can go to our courses page and sign up to be notified when it gets launched. And then you will, we'll let you know when it's out. So hopefully the plan right now is Wednesday. Kendall, thank you for becoming a member. That's the plan. We're going to do it. Come hell or high water, my entire weekend is going to be consumed with finishing this. All right. A couple other member-only questions. Let's see here. Also, if you are members right now and I haven't answered your question, you can redo it because sifting through this and trying to find it is going to be a challenge. So if you want to repost your question with a Q colon in front of it, go for it.
You are going to get in trouble with Crystal. You're going to get in trouble.
No. Only you get in trouble on that. All right, Thomas had a question. What do you think about the terms new BI and old BI? For me, new BI doesn't use primary keys and doesn't care about data quality.
Yes, I agree.
So this is new to me. So explain this.
So Thomas will know, right? If I start talking about surrogate keys,
Thomas knows.
And right, if I start talking about these things in a session, people go, "Well, why do you need to do that? I just can put my data in the data lake or in Databricks or whatever these random sources are, and then I can just start querying it." And nobody cares if the data is clean. Nobody cares about, doing some ETL work. It's all about ELT, extract it, load it, and maybe we'll do some massaging of that data later. I agree with you, Thomas. And so the old school BI needs to reign supreme forever. Otherwise, we're going to have all this bad data that someone's going to have to sift through. But then, more importantly, all the people that's consuming this data, they're just going to get junk. And so we need to stay the old school BI. I'm sorry, Adam. I know you're like, Patrick's going bananas, but I agree with you, Thomas. This new BI stuff, we're just loading data and giving people access to it. I understand we're encouraging a data culture, but we need to encourage a data culture with clean data. Okay, I'm done. I'm going to stop.
That's the first time I've heard new BI and old BI. I didn't know that was a thing. So learn something every day. All right. Chris, thank you for the super chat, buddy. Thank you for the super chat. He said the RLS training saves him 3 points this sprint. Awesome. Glad to do that.
Nice. There you go.
And then Tom and Sebastian, thank you for becoming members. Much appreciated. Chris called you Mr. Clean, buddy. Or did he call me Mr. Clean?
you.
Maybe we're both Mr. Clean. I don't know.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
Okay, Wyatt, thank you so much for the... Wow, thank you. Thank you. All right. There was one other from Will. Let's see here. Will's got one. Can we show how to correctly use linked data flows in the Power BI service? In particular, how can you do this between different workspaces using parameters? Ooh. Now, the parameter part, I don't know how that's... I don't know what you mean by using the parameters, because the parameter will be on the data set side, and then you can flow that through. Yeah. I don't know what you want to do with the parameter in terms of using this across workspaces. So it's a little much to show on the live stream. I can write that down as a video idea, and we could do a video on it. But I would love more details on like the parameter scenario. Like, what are you trying to accomplish there? So that would be interesting.
Could you just send us the details? Could you just send us some details of it?
Yeah. Will shoot me some details on it. So
we'll put together something.
Also Wyatt. his super emote.
Chris
Did you see that? So that was for his Chris will come back fund. Hey, it's much easier now with the you guys. All right. So I saw another one from Donald. So I don't always get option to export data to Excel. At least in some older reports, can only get CSV option. Is there option settings for this? So I know there's something that will restrict the CSV, or like it'll restrict your options on that. I want to say, is it RLS?
I'm looking at the options and settings right now.
No, it's not that. Hang on. So I'm gonna go. You can go to your search engine of choice, but I'm going to Bing. Export. Just
you
gonna.
Heard that?
Yeah, I did. Of course, I heard that. So here, let me go over. I'm just gonna go down to limitations. Export underlying data. Export. So the answer to your question is I don't know off the top of my head. I have seen it, and I'm not remembering where that was. I don't know if anyone is. Yeah, I don't remember when exporting to CSV. There is a condition where you won't, like, one of the options will be disabled, and I don't know if it's was like row level security or something of that nature. There's something that you've got in your report where it's preventing it. I just don't know off the top of my head.
What's the question, Adam?
So the question is on the screen. So I don't always have the option to export data as Excel. Some of the older reports, they only have CSV option. So one option also is to look at, for those older reports, if you open it up with the latest version of Power BI Desktop and republish it, does that make it change at all? Maybe, I don't know. All right.
Okay,
I'm moving on. Yeah, we'll figure that out, Donald. We'll get you an answer.
I'll take that one, Donald. Yep.
Patrick's on a mission. All right.
Yep.
Wait. I may have missed this. Chris said I did a video on this.
I think Chris was talking about data flows.
No, I didn't do it based on that. No, it wasn't data flows.
I don't know.
So also, Mark, thank you for the super emote. I don't know if I said that yet already, but between reports. Chris said between reports. Okay, I don't know.
I'm not sure, Chris.
All right, let's do. So Jessica's got a question. I have a matrix where I want to conditional format a row based on two values. I assume I need to do that with DAX. Yes. You've got to have a measure that does that formatting.
Checks.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
You just check the
DAX for the win.
Otherwise,
the drop down, it only allows for like a single column select or a single value. All right. Good. That was easy.
That's a good question.
VJ has got a question. What is the shortcut for increasing the text size in DAX formula bar without zooming screen? Oh, that's Patrick all the way. We're going to jump over to your machine.
You hold on. Okay. Let's go to my machine. Okay. Do I have any DAX here? Let's make a new measure. Oh, I do. There we go. Can you see is my screen up?
Your screen is up.
All right. So I'm waiting for the formula bar to show. But once the formula bar shows, you click in it, hold down Control, and then you can use the plus, or you can, I don't know why the formula bar is not showing on my Power BI desktop, man. Don't know why. I'm not sure why.
Okay, what?
It's unfortunate that it's not. Okay, that one was locked up. They're all, there we go. So let's do a new measure. Here we go. Sorry about that. And if you hold down Control, if you have a wheel on your mouse, if you just use that, it'll increase it. Or if you use plus, I don't even know what a plus is on my keyboard. All right. Or if you use the up arrow and hold down Control, all those will increase the font size. So, but you got to hold down Control. Can you see the font going up a little bit, Adam?
I can. Yeah. You make it bigger. You make it
yeah.
gigantic.
Yeah. There you go.
That's as big as it gets?
I'm stopping. I'm stopping.
Okay. All right. So there we go. All right. I got your question. We'll get to it here. All right. Wyatt's question is Crystal coming back? Not today. She will be back. She gets back home on Wednesday. So, of note, we're not going to do a live stream next weekend because it's July 4th in the U.S. It's Independence Day, so we're gonna take that Saturday off. We'll be back on July 11th, and Crystal will be here. So, yay! I know. Oh. All right, Sean. Softball question: how long does it take you guys to create a new YouTube video?
For me,
it takes Patrick
this guy right
very
here.
Little time.
Well, building the demo takes a little
building
bit.
The demo
right?
takes
building
a
the
little
demo takes a little bit. But just recording the video, almost the duration of the video. So however long the video is, that's how long it takes me to do it. And then
unless he screws up and then he says, Adam, just cut this out. Just cut this out, Adam.
Yeah. And then I upload it to this magical thing called OneDrive. And then like the following week or weeks, it just appears on YouTube. I don't know. Yeah. Like somebody sprinkles pixie dust on top
That's
of it.
Right. That's right. And then this guy does all the post-production stuff and staging, and it can range anywhere from like an hour and a half to like from start to end, from starting to edit to finish to staging to all of that's anywhere from an hour and a half to maybe like 3-4 hours depending on the video. So it can take a little bit of time. All right.
Well, I'll take the day, like the day picker, for example. That took a bit, to write the DAX and figure that out. So some of them can take a bit. Some of them do, but Adam does all the hard work.
Yeah. Yep. And I do use Chris' comment. I do use Adobe Premiere for that. So, all right, Michael, where are the limits of Power Query and Power Automate? When to go for real ETL or ELT?
Yeah.
So when would you use? So when do we go from Power Query to something like Azure Data Factory or like SSIS or something like that?
Well, he's saying data flow. He's saying data flow in the chat. He didn't mean Power Flow. He's saying data flow.
Yeah, okay, data flow. It's so Power Query in general. Like, so how do we? When's the time to go from self-service data prep to enterprise data prep? And some of that is dependent on like what you're doing. So Power Query is going to run in the context of Power BI. But if you've got like some heavy type operations that you're actually trying to load into your data warehouse, so this is the other problem with Power Query. Power Query is only going to funnel it into either the data flow or your data set. All right, so you don't have a choice on where that goes. Now you can use Power Query inside of Azure Data Factory as well. And then that data now you can, using like Azure Data Factory or SSIS or any ETL tool, then you can point that to whatever data source you want. So where do you want to land it? So that's one of the biggest. That's one of the biggest factors. Would be like, do you want to land it somewhere other than data flows or your data set? So,
I love this question because if we think about this, if we're we're thinking about individual, maybe even departmental stuff, Power Query may work. It may. But once we start thinking about enterprise, then you take the next step to data flows, because data flows gives you this central place where I can expose lots of things across my enterprise. But then when we start talking about going big level enterprise, big business across everyone in the organization, it's not just data flows anymore. And if you talk to Matthew Roach and I did a video on data flows, because I asked him, I was like, why wouldn't I just use data flows for my enterprise data warehouse? I was like, no, don't do that. But when we're going big enterprise, that's when we're going. And I think somebody said this in the chat already. We go, a real data warehouse where
Yep.
we're centralizing and putting all our business logic in one place, as opposed to having it spread out across all these PBIX files. Because Adam may have business logic for sales, and I may
Well,
have some business logic calculating sales. Go ahead.
but that's, I mean, data flows, you can do that.
You can, right? But is it ready for big data sets? Ginormous.
No, there's going to be
data
some
sets.
limits there. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
I do like
yeah,
James's comment also. I would say when you need to go system to system, I like that.
Oh yeah. Yep.
I like that. All right. Let's see here. Oh, Alex also has a good comment too. Is like you can use so like ADF or something like that to create those external CDM folders and then bring that into Power BI as well. So that's always a cool option.
Yeah.
Like that. So Jessica, I saw your comment. Like, think about a members only LinkedIn group. I'm not going to do that, but if you want, that's cool. It's just another thing for me to manage, and right now my time is stretched so thin. That's why I've been hesitant about the Discord. Will come before a members only LinkedIn group. So LinkedIn technically exists. I just haven't shared out the link, just because again, it's another thing I've got to manage. So my time is yeah. All right. What's the next one? What we do? All right, Brian. Having issue with getting data from Excel. I have Excel that auto posts to SharePoint, but I can't load it. Only format I can get is XLS. So you did a video on the SharePoint thing, right?
I did, where you just copy the link.
The link,
You just
yeah.
and you just
Can you find that and put it in the chat?
Mark. Okay, yeah, sure.
Try and find it.
Yep, I'm on it.
All right, so Brian, he's going to post the video in the chat. So you can do this. We've done it. Oh, so he's saying it's the old XLS, not XLSX.
So what is it? 10,
Will that
2010?
still?
Is that
Yeah, will it still work though?
It should. Why wouldn't it work?
Yeah, I know it's the old format. Does Power Query not? Does the connector not like that?
I would totally have to.
I'd have to try it. But Brian, if you're asking the question, my guess is it's not working. So.
But what's the error?
I don't know. James update. That's hard for some people, man. I get the struggle is real. Struggle is real.
Oh, Excel 2007. That's right. It's Excel 2007. Because 2010 is when they went to Excel.
Yeah. So Michael said he's read it connects, but can cause issues. I don't know what those issues are. I honestly don't even have access to an older version of Excel to even try it. He says it's not the proper format. Yeah.
Oh. I'm not sure.
I don't have a good answer for you there, buddy.
Excel 2007.
Yeah.
RBI.
All right. I'm sorry, Brian. All right, Alex. When hitting your first P1 ceiling, do you spend 200 plus hours to hopefully optimize each of your users' bad models to save a few percentages, or just go to a P2 and hope it works? And just, put that into the wind and spend the money. So this actually came up at a customer I was working with where they were hitting the problem. And obviously my first answer is try and optimize before you go and drop money on it. And do the work to actually get that there. They were in a critical situation where like refreshes were failing. And so they said, look, we're going up to a P2 for right now. And then we'll look at optimizing, and then we can scale it back down afterwards. I don't know that they ever did the optimizing though, because now you fixed, you put a Band-Aid on it, right? So now it's not front and center. So do you actually go back and do the work? I don't know. So yeah, it's a good question. I think most people are going to look at that for the quick answer. And typically if that comes up, you're probably in a crisis situation anyway, because you've already hit the ceiling and stuff is starting to have problems. So you're probably just going to scale it up or move workspaces to another P1. The challenge there, again, most people don't go back and do the work to optimize. So it's, yeah, it's a good question though.
Yeah, I say, right, to solve the problem, scale up. If you can afford to, scale up, but don't forget. Just don't forget what happened when you hit that ceiling, because you're gonna hit that ceiling again. You are absolutely, you give people more resources, they're gonna put more bad stuff on it. So don't forget that you had that problem that caused you to scale up. So are you gonna have to scale up again? So even though you scale up, be judicious and say, okay, I've scaled up, but now while we have this grace period where everything's great, we got to fix it. We got to fix this. And so I would go down that path, and then I would put some governance in place. And once you get it fixed, then you maybe separate those into two P1s, back them by different workspaces, and you have areas where people can go and break stuff, and you have areas, workspaces where that's enterprise level where they can't put junk in it. Right? That's just my opinion.
Also, Barath, I saw. Thanks for becoming a member, buddy. It's been a while, and he made the comment also of next time we talk in person or even maybe virtually, wants to challenge us to do some HR related analytic videos, just to see something different from financial. Can I say
something about this?
No.
The challenge with HR is actually getting data that means something. So, Barath, if you want to provide us with some obfuscated data, that sales is easy to get because there's tons of those sample data sets out there. If there's some data, some good HR data where we can actually do some good HR information on it. Because I remember we met this guy who wanted me to do something around hotel, and he had all his hotel HR stuff. And then he sent me the data, and there was just no meaningful story behind it. So if we could find a good HR data set, I'd be happy to do some stuff on it. I'd be elated to do something besides sales and financials.
Really, what Patrick's wanting to do with HR data is fire people. That's what he wants to do. That's all he wants to do. Just admit it, Patrick. It's fine. So going back to the premium discussion, Chewy made the comment. He's like, look, if you get more hardware going up to P2, then users are not forced to improve their data model. I agree. The challenge there also is you're in a crisis situation right there. And so it's like, you're not going to, it's the nature of the beast. So
that's what I say. Don't forget. Don't forget the situation you were in after you scale up. And that's what happens, right? You scale up, and then it's still bad.
So Kelly commented also that they scaled up from a P1 to P2. They still need to go fix and govern. Absolutely, 100%. Don't forget to do that. So
don't forget to do that.
All right, Alex.
Mark.
Wait, what?
No, go ahead.
All right.
Go ahead.
Alex D, the other Alex, thanks for becoming a member. Much appreciated. He had a question also. Do you have any recommendations on how to take a DB and obfuscate it? So ResoRad actually did some things recently. I saw someone else do this too. I forget who. I don't know if it was Reed Havens or someone else, where they were doing it from a Power Query perspective, where you could basically make like the random index or random text or something from that to create that obfuscated column. So changing, like if you had customer name, like actually changing it to like customer 1, customer 2, customer 3, and then instead of their actual full name, and doing things for similar columns. So I thought that was interesting. That's on the Power Query side. Obviously, if you're doing things on like, SQL database side, there's things you can do on that end as well. Power BI today doesn't have any natural masking capability, so that's a challenge. But Power Query, the tricks I saw in Power Query that Reza had in his stuff was pretty cool. It was interesting. So hopefully that helps you out, Alex. All right. Let's see here. Anil, that's how you pronounce your name. Thank you for the super chat. Much appreciated. Okay. Got a few more here. We're doing good. Think we're good. So actually, Kendall had a follow-up thing that was interesting. How do you edit interactions between visuals? So let me jump over to my machine. I'll just show you real quick.
That's an easy one.
Yeah, it was nice. All right, so we'll go over to my report. So when you select a given visual, so I've selected this visual. If I go to, where is it? Format. Then you will see a button there. It says, whoa, that will say edit interactions. And then when you do the edit interactions, why is it not doing anything? Why is it not doing anything? Oh, there it goes. Oh, I guess you can't do it for card visuals. So, okay, so let me do it for the bar chart down here. So I've selected this. The minute I do that, you'll see that there's other buttons that show up in the visual header. So I can do this in terms of changing it to filter only. And then I can also say don't actually do the interaction. So don't affect this visual. So that's a way that you can use edit interactions to do that. So if I do, so let me do the map here, and I'll say don't, I'll say filter instead of highlight. So then it goes down. You'll notice it doesn't change the highlight at all. But if I change it back to highlight, then it does the highlighting piece of it. Or if I say don't, then when you change it, then it's not actually doing anything. So it was good. Good question.
That's a good question.
All right. Ija, is there a way to find out who has access to a specific report from an admin perspective? So yes and no. So let me jump. It depends, I guess is a better. It depends. It depends is a better question. Let me jump back over to my machine. So from an admin perspective, I can come down to admin portal, come to workspaces. Within a given workspace, if this is a V2 workspace, I can go to access, and then I can see who has permissions to these items, right? What I can't see from an admin perspective is if you've shared out reports. I don't know. I can't see that. The other thing I can't see is from an app perspective, who has that. Now, what I can do also as an admin perspective is, so I can come in here, I can say access, and I can add myself into this workspace and then go into the workspace and then like take over a report. There's a lot of manual stuff that you would have to do. So there's not a good way from a UI to just see like the actual listing of that. So hopefully that answers that question. All right, Mark. Patrick, at some point, would you demo the DAX debug of iterations that Phil Seamark posted about this week? We were talking about that. We were talking about that.
Yes, I will, Mark.
Yes,
I will. I just need to, I want to talk to Phil about a few things before we do it, because I have a few other ideas. But yes, absolutely. That is, if you can see my list of videos on my whiteboard, it is on the list. So yes, I will. Yes, I will.
Yeah. Let's see here. So going back to the edit interactions, Alex had a comment there. Edit interactions needs to be faster and have a pane like the selection panel. Yeah, that'd be good. Overlap elements makes major task. Yeah, absolutely. 100%. 100%. All right. Let's see here. So Paul had a comment on the HR data. Would be good to see techniques to deal with ragged hierarchies, like we could in multidimensional, like hide member if same as parent.
Oh, I knew he said that. I knew he said that. I knew he was going to say that.
Yeah. So Patrick's all on that, Paul. Love you, Paul.
Yes.
Good to see you, Paul.
Yes.
What happened to my?
Good to see you. That's a good point. That's a good point.
I lost my. I don't know why I lost my pop out. All right. Yeah. So good to see you, Paul. Though. Been a while. All right, Chewy.
It's been a while.
What would be the reason that settings for report subscriptions cannot be modified by Power BI admins and only by the subscription author? What are the reasons? Because the Power BI team didn't implement that?
That's just it. That's it.
Yeah. So, yeah, ideas.powerbi.com. That's the best I can give you on that one, buddy. Yes. So I don't have a good reason. It's just not there. So you could maybe reach out to Chris Finland and bug him a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. That's it.
I don't know why. So Barath had a comment on as well. SSAS aggregations anytime soon. Didn't find anything on Bing. Thanks for using Bing there. That talks about release date. So the when you say SSAS aggregations, you mean actual aggregation functionality like we have in Power BI in analysis services, or do you mean the ability to do composite models on analysis services and Power BI data sets? What are you referring to there, Barath? What are you referring to there, buddy? Waiting for his response. I know there's a little bit of a delay. Paul had to go walk the dog. So he said he's going to be right back, but I'm pretty sure our stream's going to be over by the time he comes back. So. All right. So I'm going to wait for Barath's comment on there. Let me know, Barath. Yeah. Let me know, Barath. All right. So Sebastian's got customer asked to see closed months on the axis and days of the actual month on the same axis without drilling down. Any suggestions? You can do that. Because you can do the combo on the chart that shows that. We'll have to do a video on that. So Sebastian, look out for a video. I know you can do it. Wait, what?
Okay. You have the question, right? You got the question.
Sebastian's?
Yeah. Good. Keep going.
Yeah. We'll do a video on that. There is a way to do it. Yeah. There's a way to do it. That's a good 2-minute Tuesday. So Barath has not responded. Oh, he did. So like aggregation models not. Okay. So for aggregations itself, I don't know if there's any plans right now on the roadmap to get that into. I haven't seen anything into actual analysis services on premises for sure. For Azure AS, I don't know. That's not really the focus on that. The aggregations feature focuses on Power BI Premium. So, Barath, hit me up offline on that. I can talk more about that. For you specifically. James. Oh, we're 2 minutes over. I'm gonna do James's and then we're gonna call it. Thoughts on an online report editor catching up with the desktop version? That's the plan. They have commented multiple times. They want to get the web version of the Power BI desktop editor to be in line with Power BI desktop. This is also why there's no Mac version as part of it. So when that's going to happen, no idea. I would not count on that for this calendar year, but who knows? Power BI team's good at surprising us. But I know that the long-term vision is to get parity to where you can do that, including like full capabilities of Power BI desktop in the service, right? So, alrighty. With that was crazy bananas. Thank you everyone for hanging out. Thanks for everyone sticking around when we cut over to members only chat. That was good. It was less chaotic for me, especially with Crystal not here. So we'll look at maybe continuing that going forward. So have a great rest of your weekend, and hope you guys are all staying safe and everything. So love you guys. Patrick, any closing words?
Happy 4th. We won't see you guys.
Happy 4th of July next week. We will not be live streaming next Saturday. If you're in the U.S., enjoy your 4th of July. Stay safe on 4th of July. Don't go crazy. And then we will be back live stream on July 11th. All right.
Yes.
We'll see you guys.
Stay at home. Stay at home.
Yes. Bye. See ya. Peace out.